A Mixed-Minority Interfaith Marriage Guide. Chapter 1. A Mixed/Minority Marriage Guide. Mixed marriages, interracial/interfaith. Some prejudiced people are still against interracial relationships. For some people, there are big cultural differences within interracial relationships that cause problems. For some religions, if you marry outside your faith, you're out of their religion. There are very few of those religions. Quite often, the person outside the faith will convert to keep everyone happy. Muslims and Orthodox Jews want people to convert to their faith before they can marry within the faith. Being in a relationship with someone from a different culture can be great if you don't try to convert the other person away from the way they were brought up. If they do it of their own free will, that's fine, but don't try to get them to be like you. Use the best parts of both your cultures. You're different but equal. Respect your partner's differences. Learn some of his culture, religion, and language. Disregard societal hang-ups. Practice both cultures in the home. If we were to get rid of all our preconceived notions about how we ought to treat interfaith and interracial couples and just got along with our lives as pure beings as is without the covering that is race or religion, we'd get along a lot better than obsessing over it. The fact is that people with spiritual values and people who share the same spiritual views are generally happier as a couple than are other couples. Shared spirituality is one thing, but spirituality with two people from different faiths may be a problem, especially if one or both are zealots. If you're like this, a zealot, do yourself a favor and marry someone of your own faith. The bottom line is that a couple who believes in something greater than themselves will often have a more stable relationship than secular couples. You might think that in the modern civilized world, mixed marriages are fine, but prejudice is alive and well, albeit mostly hidden from public view. So know that if you fall in love with somebody of another race or religion, you might get prejudice from society at large. The most immediate problem is relatives and close friends. Generally, the older the person, the more close-minded they are to the interracial or interfaith marriage, but this rule is not laid in stone. Some old folks are pretty cool, and conversely some young people are pretty close-minded about their brother or sister marrying someone of another race. The best solution is to go talk to them face to face to let them see the real flesh and blood you. The bottom line with family and friends is that when you marry, all allegiances fall by the wayside to the allegiance to your spouse. Respect them, but if they try to stand between you and your spouse and try to make you feel guilty, drop them. When you marry, your spouse becomes your main priority. Other than that, make sure you're doing it for love, not just for the novelty of being with someone of another race, for the rebelliousness of it, nor for the shock value, to shock your fuddy-duddy parents by using your new beau to get back at them for being so narrow-minded while they were raising you. One white guy married a Hispanic lower-class girl because he wanted a more down-to-earth lifestyle, but quickly found out she hated her upbringing, wanted to move up into a white, suburban-type existence, so they were both left resentful of each other. Some guys marry exotic girls because of fantasies they have. Some girls marry tall dark guys because of fantasies they have, but don't realize these are real live human beings with major cultural differences among them, sometimes too major to make for a good long-term relationship. On some level, we all live on stereotypes. We think all black guys are studs while Asian women are humble and sexy. If you marry someone because of a stereotypical idea you have, you could be in trouble. All Jewish guys are supposed to be rich, Asian guys loyal providers, but if you don't match the stereotype to your partner who expected it, the relationship is screwed. You might think Filipino girls are exotic, but then when you meet a couple in real life, they might be just like any other westernized, capitalist girl around. People of one group may dislike the opposite sex people in their group, like the black guy I saw on TV who said he couldn't stand black women because they talked too loud and too much, or the Chinese chick who said all Chinese guys were skinny nerds. Many minorities subconsciously hate their own race, want to move up to the majority race, so they will marry for this reason and not for love. Generally, European white cultures breed action-oriented, independent, capitalist, competitive types of few words, while most other cultures breed more cooperative, talky, communal types, and often the twain clashes when they meet. What was once considered a cute personality quirk now suddenly appears offensive when you move in together. A lot of women in minority cultures are brought up to be submissive housewives which they hate, so they seek out a liberated white guy to get them out of there. Many Asian and Hispanic women don't like their chauvinistic cultures where man is the undisputed boss and simply bail out with a white guy in order to escape it. At heart, we all want someone who shared the same cultural upbringing we did, so remember that when shopping for a mate. Often, upper-class minorities seek to marry up, so to speak, which translates to the WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, in our society. It's called the trophy wife, and many black guys play this game, not necessarily for love but for status sake, to show the world that they've made it in white man's world with their successful career and pretty white wife. It must be for pure love in order to be real. Then if you have that, you have each other, nothing should get in between you two. The negativity of other people shouldn't bother you all that much, because the important thing is you two living a happy life together. Some cultural differences are fun and exciting to learn about and explore together, but there may be major differences in upbringing. For example, whereas most typical white guys are brought up to be loners not too close to their families, Hispanic and Italian families are expected to be more closely knit. If you're a Hispanic girl going with a white guy, you might want family closeness while he wants to be alone most of the time in his own space, handling his business of his life's work as the breadwinner, which is the way white guys are raised, to make it at the expense of everything else in life. There are many issues that come with mixed marriages. Some cultures are thrifty, some hedonistic. Some are open, some more reserved. Many new immigrants are optimistic while American natives in general are cynical. Some people are strict disciplinarians while others are more permissive when raising their children. Some cultures are work-oriented, others are playful. Some cultures equate food with joy and love, others see it as a means to an end. Some cultures are talkative, some believe in action over words. Some cultures are chauvinistically patriarchal, others give women more equality. Some cultures believe in success in the outside world more than spending time with the family. Some cultures believe in being close to relatives, some believe that the couple becomes a new family at the exclusion of all. Some people are quiet and calm, some loud and aggressive. Some cultures like to drink booze, others don't. These are the type of factors you have to consider when going into a mixed marriage, so don't go in expecting that love will automatically conquer all and you really understand each other, because you don't. As a mixed couple, you automatically inherit some disdain from society at large, but more importantly, each has to give a little bit in respect for the other's race and culture. You have to respect each other's customs, traditions, special holidays, etc. Go with her to her church occasionally and to a picnic or event where you might be the only person of your race there. Even if they all treat you well, be ready for the possible discomfort you will feel in these situations. Some people, mostly guys, might fall in love with a black, Hispanic, or Asian girl but still be prejudiced against her race, as I've seen on talk shows. If you're with someone who resorts to calling your race racial names when he's mad or calls your interracial child names, you're in a tough spot with a hateful person, and you either have to set him straight or leave now to save your sanity for the long run. Anyone who brings prejudice into a relationship is generally not a loving person, even if it just slips out when they're mad, so I wouldn't stay in such a relationship. I personally don't have strong religious views, so it's a non-issue with me, which could be the best way to go since we're all supposedly from one same God, so the means of faith shouldn't matter all that much as long as you're getting a righteous dose of morality. It's hypocritical to fight about religion. Try to love your partner, let them worship who they want and let it go at that. I'm the type of guy who lives for the present and the future. My ancestors, whoever they may have been, were probably good people struggling through life as peasants in Poland just like everyone else on the planet, but I don't dwell on them or feel any special connection with my past because my life is now in the moment, which is why I'm cool with my pragmatic life, which is why I don't have any strong cultural ties to tradition or ethnicity. I'm a guy born to Polish Catholic parents in Canada, but I feel I'm a citizen of the world. I don't identify strongly with any culture or religion. I feel I'm just another human being living out my life on planet Earth and think this is the best way to be, To leave all that cultural and religious dogma behind and just live your life as the individual you are and raise your kids as individuals who will make their own choices as independent, enlightened human beings. Don't raise your kids as interracial or interfaith kids. Raise them as beautiful, unique human beings without any stigma attached to their mixed heritage. A lot of people feel strongly connected to their roots to the extent that they alienate their spouses and try to swing them to their cause. You should lighten up, live for now and see the two of you as a new unique beginning, not simply a generic version of your cultural traditions. In short, respect your partner for her uniqueness and don't try to impose your culture on her unless she wants it, which some women do, often converting to the husband's religion, which a lot of Jewish women do who marry Christian men and vice versa. A lot of Christian women convert to Judaism to help keep things smooth in the family. Imagine the two of you as two countries who might be allies of each other, but when one does something that threatens the racial dignity of the other, you feel violated, get very angry, and former friends can quickly become enemies. So the point is that you might violate your partner's culture at some point in time simply by feeling that your way is right, her traditions are a little off, and if you don't watch it, this could escalate into outright hate. So your best bet is to try to erase the feelings inside that your cultural upbringing was the mainstream right way and all other minority viewpoints are wrong. Every culture has some positive things about it. Your best bet is to ignore the ego-defensive patriotic glare of your culture, use what's good from both cultures and simply try to live well as a unique couple, creating your own lives as you go along. Find your own paths as individuals, your path as a couple, and help your kids find their own paths in life. members.fortunecity.com/kanzian/resources, for couples of different nationalities. Jewish Christian love. Share bonds, respect differences. God has made of one blood all nations of men to dwell on all the face of the earth. Acts 17:26. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, slave nor free, but Christ is all and in all. Colossians 3:11. The concept is that most societies these days, excluding the Japanese, which purposely try to be isolationist, are made up of all different ethnic groups. United States, Canada, Australia, and the Western European nations are all multi-ethnic, so the lesson is you'd better get along because you're all stuck with each other. The most common interfaith marriage in our society is the Jewish Christian marriage. If one or both aren't particularly religious and don't care much, it will be fine, but if each is strongly dedicated to their religions, they may try to convert the other or vigorously defend their religion, then try to raise their children that way at the exclusion of the other. The only solution is to talk it out rather than fight over it. The truth is that 40 years ago, interfaith marriages were a big deal. In today's world, I would hope that people are over it enough to marry out of love regardless of the religion they come from. Religion is just a systematic way to breed a conscience into somebody. If you have a good heart and a good conscience to start out with, you've won the game. You don't need an organized religion to guide you except for minor comfort, social connections, and some mild inspiration. Beyond that, don't take it all so hard. No one knows if God is real, but you can help the argument by living purely like God without bowing down to trivial bickerings over religious denominations. Just as with any interfaith relationship, Jewish Christian love requires some give and take on both sides, but it shouldn't be that hard since Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism and still keeps the Old Testament as part of the Holy Bible, the only difference being that they believe Jesus was the Savior prophesied in the Old Testament, whereas Jews believe he didn't come yet. So whereas Christians have added the New Testament to the Old Testament, Jews live by the Old Testament only called the Torah. Because Jews are a minority in the US and Canada, at least half of them marry someone outside their faith, a so-called Gentile, so to speak. It's just the way it is by the law of probability. People of the Jewish faith make up approximately 6% of the general population in the Americas, so you have to look to outsiders for mates, especially if you live anywhere other than New York, because that's where the highest concentration of Jewish people is in the United States. Some zealous Orthodox Jews are very protective of their faith and feel threatened when their fellow Jews marry outside the faith, so if you belong to this flock of Judaism, be ready for opposition. If you're what is commonly called a Reform Jew, it means that you're modern and somewhat secular and the traditional rules of old don't bother you all that much. Jewish people in general are more zealous about their faith than Christians because they've been a persecuted minority all through history and now feel a need to protect it, so you might find your spouse very insistent on raising the children Jewish. Indulge his or her whims to a certain extent, but include Christian faith in there too. If anyone's too much of a religious zealot, think twice about the marriage unless you plan to convert to their point of view. Starting with the wedding itself, you should try for customs from both faiths in it, or if you're not particularly religious, keep it as secular and plain as possible. Many Jewish people in America don't know their heritage and often get a nostalgic need to learn about themselves by going to Israel and reading about it, which is not necessarily true of the Christian faith, so expect Jewish people to be more intense about their religion and culture than Christians in general. For Jewish people, it's a religion, a people, a country, and a culture, whereas Christians are all over the place with no unified group of people in their membership beyond the Christian part. Both people might be relatively secular, but when kids are born, the parents' real colors come out. Typically, they will each want the kid to be raised in their religious tradition. Be ready for a compromise, celebrating both religions with your children. It's good for the kid too. It gives him or her exposure to different sets of friends. A lot of people don't care about religion while they're young, but as they get older, they get into it more, so be ready for religious conflicts if either of you have intense personalities. This is why you should keep your child open to both faiths even if you're ambivalent about it for now. The basic rules are to explore each other's religion to a certain extent, respect each other's religion and raise your children mixed, to partake in both religions and learn a little of each. It's best not to deny one and go with the other, because if you do that, there will probably always be tension there with the in-laws and other deeply religious relatives. Often differences in basic life decisions are not personal, they're cultural, based on the different cultures people are raised in, so don't be too harsh when your spouse behaves out of cultural tradition. Ethnicity or ethnotherapy is an academic field that recognizes cultural differences among people and states that they don't necessarily mean that people are terribly different or don't like each other. It just means slow down, realize that we were raised differently, which means we are all different, so make allowances for your partner's individual cultural differences without going overboard in animosity or thinking they hate you. It could be just them the way they were raised. Play it cool, give them their space. Take your space when you need it. Don't try to convert your spouse to your religion. Be quietly respectful of their space, but don't impose yours on them, and don't take it personally if they're indifferent to your religion. They married you, not your religion. If you're a Jew, don't expect him or her to share your political views about the plight of Israel. If you want to explore your Jewish roots, that's great, but don't impose them on your spouse. Tell your friends not to spew off one-dimensional religious doctrine when they're at your house. If you want to visit the Holocaust Museum or Israel, invite your spouse, but don't push it on them. Religion is not part of the marriage. The relationship between you two as naked human beings without all the covering is what's really important. Jews, Christians, and most other religions divide the world into themselves and non-worshippers, with a general attitude of us as the chosen people, everybody else as the heathens, with very little room for cooperation, acceptance, and live and let live. Almost everybody feels alienated when they partake in their spouse's religion, like the woman who always feels strange when going into her husband's synagogue, so be ready for this isolation when you marry an other religion person. It will always be there to some extent. In most interfaith relationships, the parents-in-law are generally opposed to their child marrying outside the faith, but it's your life, you don't owe them anything. They had their shot, now it's your turn. Don't let them make you feel guilty. Follow your heart over the rules. The same goes for your priest, minister, or rabbi. If they're against it, don't let them manipulate you. After the wedding or when you get pregnant, everyone will want to know how you plan to raise your children. The most politically expedient answer is half and half. you will expose them to each religion equally and let them develop on their own based on what they like or don't like about either of them. For your children, make religion a way of life to build character, not just a label of either Jew or Christian or both. Don't be too serious about it with them. Let it develop naturally. Focus on them becoming good people, not necessarily what particular doctrine they know. Most kids will gravitate towards the group of the majority in your locality. If there are more Christians than Jews at their school, they will probably identify with them more and vice versa. Don't censor them. Let them do what they naturally feel is right within themselves. Buy books relevant to both faiths and bring them home. Take them to both the synagogue and the church and explain the differences. Take them to both Jewish and Christian religion classes for kids. The major Christian holidays are Christmas and Easter. The major Jewish holidays are Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year. Hanukkah/Hanukkah, victory of Jews over Syria, light burned miraculously for 8 days, menorah, the 9-pronged candlestick is the symbol. Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, Sukkot/Simchat Torah, Harvest Festival 5 days after Yom Kippur. Passover, freedom of Jews as slaves from Egypt by Moses with help from God in the form of the 10 plagues, when Jews marked all Jewish homes with lamb's blood, the spirit of death bypassed them, killing all the firstborn of Egypt. The Seder is a ceremonial dinner during Passover. Christians have the cross and the Christmas tree as symbols, Jews have the Star of David and the menorah. Both have a coming-of-age ceremony. For Christians, it's first communication and confirmation. For Jews it's called a bar mitzvah. Jewish baby boys are generally circumcised, Genesis 17, in what is called Brit Milah. Jewish girls have a non-surgical ceremony called Brit Hashem, while Christians baptize their babies. A yarmulke is the thing Jewish men wear on their heads. Jews go to synagogue on Saturday, Christians go to church on Sunday. On the bright side, look at an interfaith coupling as an opportunity for new growth as you both learn about each other's culture and religion. Rather than segregating yourselves and protecting your religions, relish in them and share them with each other in a non-judgmental way. Be ready for the naysayers of both religions who will point their fingers and say you're each heathens for breaking God's law. Be ready to explain it to the kids when people tell them Jews and Christians aren't supposed to get married. Beware of the prejudice bug and the traitor bug, unconsciously hating or at least not liking people of other faiths and races even though you're in love with this person from another race and feeling that you betrayed yourself by choosing a suitor from another religion. If you feel like this, think twice before getting into an interfaith relationship. I've heard of a backlash from Jewish men against Jewish women, claiming that they're a bunch of obnoxious, controlling, wannabe princesses so they avoid them en masse and seek to marry someone outside the faith. It's even considered a sign of status for some assimilated Jewish men who feel they deserve a waspy white woman rather than the typical dark-haired, olive-skinned kosher girl. Just like some people convert to Judaism, some Jews convert to Christianity and still others unite in hybrid sects which keep one foot in both faiths like Jews for Jesus, a hybrid Jewish-Christian group. Some couples like to blame interfaith differences for every problem they have. Don't use this as the convenient dumping ground for your real issues in your life. When there's a death in the family, as with the parents, it may dispose their child to get sentimental about his faith, so be ready for a temporary upsurge in his or her religion and a general alienation from you and your religion for a while. Overall, the general consensus is that even if you consider yourself fairly liberal, you still relate to the religion of your youth and feel personally connected to it, so when it comes to children, weddings, funerals, holidays, etc., it's always about religion to some extent and it's personal, so if you don't talk about it, all THSE issues go unresolved seething beneath the surface, so you have to talk about them and keep the air crystal clear all the time. Some Jewish organizations offer seminars and workshops for Jewish people marrying outside the faith or already married to an other religion person. At the very least, these workshops give the players the opportunity to ventilate their feelings, talk them out and get them off their chests. Beyond some cultural differences, there will be differences in the way of food. Jews generally eat only kosher food. Sabbath, God's Day, is the weekly Jewish day of rest on Saturday. 'Tis better to have an excess of faith than none at all. Try to celebrate the major holidays of each religion. Look around for a general church or liberal synagogue that you might both be happy in. You might find books on the subject at hashtag 306.843 or HQ1031 at the library. Books about Christianity are at hashtag 200-289 at the library. Books about Judaism are at number 296. Jewish Christian marriage websites. Interfaithfamily.com. nyu.edu/pages/sls/interfai/interfai.html, Jewish Christian couples. afw.org/journal/98su10.shtm, Jewish. cbsrz.org/links_to_Jewish_websites.htm. chrismukka.com, Christmas and Hanukkah. Converting to Judaism.com. interfaithclerginetwork.com. interfaithcommunity.org/adults.html, Christian Jewish. interfaithcommunity.org/links.html, Christian Jewish. interfaithfamily.com, Christian Jewish. jcpia.org, Jewish Christian. jcrelations.net/n/?ID=2414, Jewish Christian. jewfaq.org/gentiles.htm. jewishconversion.com/interfaithmarriage.htm. jewishlights.com/pdf:/s/interfaithmarriage. joi.org/library/biblio/basic.shtml, the Jewish Outreach Institute. joi.org/qa/resources.shtml, the Jewish Outreach Institute. modernketubah.com, Interfaith Jewish Couples. mucjs.org/links.htm, Christian Jewish. rebrenner.com/backnd.php, Christian Jewish. shamazh.org, Christian Jewish. simhatyisrael.org, Jewish Christian Synagogue. united-church.ca/marriage/passion/update.shtm, Christian Jewish. Commission on Reform Jewish Outreach. American Hebrew Congregations. 838 5th Avenue. NYC 10021. 212-249-0100. For Interfaith Couples. Chapter 2. An Interracial Marriage Resource Guide. Interracial marriage websites. expertsondating.com/interracial.htm. interracialmatch.com/i/links. multirace.org. questia.com/libraries/psychology/relationships-and-family/interracial-relationships.jsp. relationship-talk.com. interracial/multicultural resources. The most complete reference book for minorities is called Minority Organizations, a National Directory, Gale Press, 800-877 Gale, galegroup.com. Some reference books are: Asian Americans Information Directory, Black Americans Information Directory, Black Newspaper Index, Ethnic Information Sources of the United States, Guide to Black Organizations, Guide to Hispanic Organizations, Hispanic Americans Information Directory, Native Americans Information Directory, The Ethnic Almanac, The Hispanic American Almanac, Who's Who Among Black Americans, Who's Who Among Hispanic Americans. You can find books about this topic at hashtag 305.800-899, hashtag 306.84 or FC104, F1035, HUM276, or HT1507 at the library. Interracial/multicultural websites. A Practical Guide edoracism.com. aricherlife.org, National Fair Housing Alliance, Neighborhood Diversity. racematters.org. adl.org, Anti-Defamation. alianza.org, Hispanic. blackfamilies.com. blackfamily.net. brightlights.com, books for African Americans. channelm.com, multicultural TV. familydiv.org, biracial. heritagekey.com. interculturalpress.com. justforkids.com, 847-803-8783. justicebooks.com, African American books. latinoweb.com. latpro.com. leanlo.com, 888-320-3395, multi-ethnic books. littlechilies.com, Spanish language materials. maven.net, 888-776-2846, mixed race students. mcreview.com, 800-225-5800, multicultural review. minorityamerica.com. multiculturalcalendar.com. multiculturalkids.com, 800-711-2321. multilingualmunchkins.com, language learning for kids. multiracial.com. narf.org, Native American. splcenter.org, 334-264-0286, Southern Poverty Law Center, teaches tolerance. surveycentral.org/survey/16140.html, interracial marriage surveys. tolerance.org. unitedagainstracism.com. vjf.com/pub/doc/job search.html, Global Village, resources for minorities on the Internet. vrx.net/details, artists against racism. worldculture.com. Southern Poverty Law Center. 400 Washington Avenue, Montgomery, Alabama, 36104. 334-956-8200. splcenter.org. For help in dealing with prejudice. Unitarian Universalist Association. 25 Beacon Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 02108. 617-742-2100. uua.org. For interfaith couples. Chapter 3. An Interfaith Marriage Resource Guide. Interfaith Marriage Websites 1. The main religions are Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. There are all kinds of combinations between these realms. There are also interfaith marriages within Christianity. You have the Catholics, Protestants, Lutherans, Orthodox, Mormons, Baptists, Presbyterians, etc. Interfaithfamily.com offers resources and services for interfaith couples and families exploring Jewish life. Interfaith.org. The National Conference of Interfaith Families. Interfaith.org/NCIF. Delphi Internet Services Corp. Interfaith Marriage Forum. Forums.delphi.com. The Interchurch Families Journal. Association of Interchurch Families in England. Interchurchfamilies.org. A list of interchurch family associations around the world. Interchurchfamilies.org/afworld.pdf. RabbiK.packhouse. Intermarriage. J51.com. Interfaithfamily.com. Jewish Choices by Interfaith Families. Muslim Interfaith Marriages. Islamzine.com. Bicultural Marriage and Unitarian Universalism. uua.org. Interfaith Marriage Websites 2. amfi.org/mailbag/races.htm, What does the Bible say about mixed marriages? artofloving.com/relationships/interfaith.htm. askginka.com/religion/interfaith.htm. beliefnet.com/story/109/story_109031_1.html, questionnaire for interfaith couples. catholicexchange.com. christian-dating-guide.com/interfaith-relationships.html. christian-sex.net. columbia.edu/cu/catalog/data/0231130231113, sex, marriage and family in world religions. Convertingtojudaism.com. divorcereform.org/mel/rinterfaith.html. dovetailinstitute.org, the Dovetail Institute for Interfaith Family Resources. dovetailpublishing.com, Interfaith Family Books. ehow.com/how_4772_interfaith-wedding-ceremony. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/interreligious_marriage. exceptionalmarriages.com. expiat.or.id/info/mixedmarriages.html, Indonesia. faithandvalues.com/channel/interfaith_marriage. faqs.org/faqs/judaism/reading-list/intermarriage. foreverfamilies.net/xml/articles/interfaith marriage. greekthings.com/bridal/html/interfaith.html, interfaith marriage and the Greek Orthodox Church. holyspiritinteractive.net/column/Peter D'Souza, Ministry to Mixed Marriage. iifwp-europe.org, Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace. interfaithceremonies.com. interfaithclergynetwork.com. interfaithcommunity.org, Christian Jewish. interfaithdialogue.com. interfaithfamily.com, Christian Jewish. interfaithmarriage.org.uk. interfaithmarriages.com. jcpia.org, Jewish Christian. jewfaq.org/gentiles.htm. jewishconversion.com/interfaithmarriage.htm. jointogether.org. lifestyle.com/relationships/couples and marriage. marriagepreparation.com/mixedfaith.htm. modernketubah.com, interfaith Jewish couples. multiracial.com/blog/?p=1075. ncccusa.org/interfaith/guide-resources.html. ncpia.org/design/slate_demo/dialogue/mixed_marriages. newadvent.org/cathan/09698a.htm, Catholic Encyclopedia, Mixed Marriage. parentkidsright.com/pt-interfaithmarriage.html. psychcentral.com/library/id245.html, The Emotional Challenges of Interfaith Marriage. relationship-talk.com. religion-online.org. religioustolerance.org. shamazh.org, Christian Jewish. smartmarriages.com. stayhitched.com/interfaith.htm. united-church.ca/marriage/passion/update.shtm, Christian Jewish. vivaha.org/interfai.htm, Hindu interfaith marriages. weddingzone.net. Chapter 4. A General Interfaith Website Guide. Some big interfaith websites. interreligionsinsight.org. interfaith.org. global-dialogue.com. The North American Interfaith Network, NAIN. nain.org. Interfaith Network for the United Kingdom. interfaith.org.uk. The Interfaith Alliance UK. interfaithalliance.org.uk. Worldwide, Parliament of the World's Religions. parliamentofreligions.org. The World Council of Churches Interreligious Relations. oikoumene.org. Multi-faith printed wall calendar at multifaithcalendar.org. Affiliation of Multicultural Societies and Service Agencies. amssa.org. British Broadcasting Corporation. bbc.co.uk. NCCJ of the Piedmont Triad at nccjtiriad.org. Religion and Ethics News Weekly. pbs.org. Interfaith websites. Association for Religion and Intellectual Life, ARIL. ARL.org, BeliefNet.com, Center for Interreligious Engagement, CIE, DePaul University, Chicago, las.depaul.edu/CIE, Council for Parliament of the World's Religions, parliamentofreligions.org, Harvard College Interfaith Council, facebook.com/Harvard Interfaith, ING, Interfaith Speakers Bureau, Islamic Networks Group, San Jose, California, ing.org, The Interfaith Alliance, interfaithalliance.org, Interfaith Conference of Metropolitan, Washington, D.C., ifcmw.org, Interfaith Voices for Peace and Justice, interspirit.net/ifv.cfm, Interfaith Youth Corps, ifac.org, International Interfaith Center, Oxford, England, interfaith-center.org, Jewish Christian Islamic Virtual Media Library, blogs.shu.edu/vml, Journal of Interreligious Studies, irdialogue.org, the Metropolitan Area Religious Coalition of Cincinnati, markconline.com, Michigan Roundtable, Interfaith Partners, meroundtable.org, National Conference for Community and Justice, nccj.org, National Council of Churches, USA Interfaith Relations Commission, National QNCI Loft Churches.us/shared-ministry/interfaith, North American Interfaith Network, NAIN.org, Odyssey Networks, odysseynetworks.org, Ontario Consultants on Religious Tolerance, religioustolerance.org, Peace Islands Institute, peaceislands.org, Religions for Peace International, religionsforpeaceinternational.org/?lang=n, Religions for Peace USA, rfpusa.org, Religious Diversity News Articles, pluralism.org, Scarborough Missions, Multi-Faith Prayer, scarboroughmissions.ca/interfaith_dialogue/multifaith_prayer_service.php, State of Formation, stateofformation.org, Thanksgiving Square Foundation, thanksgiving.org, Troy Interfaith Group, Troy, Michigan, United Religions Initiative, URI.org, Interfaith websites at dmoz-odp.org, mfellow.org, American Fellowship Church, includes information about becoming an ordained minister, the AFC's Code of Ethics and materials for starting your own church. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/interfaith, Wikipedia, Interfaith, overviews the history of dialogue, attitudes, and actions of particular major to other faiths, organizations and links. forusa.org, Fellowship of Reconciliation, the largest, oldest interfaith peace organization in the United States and is dedicated to promotion of nonviolent conflict resolution. Gamaliel.org, Gamaliel Foundation, a network of grassroots, interfaith, interracial, multi-issue organizations working together to create a more just and more democratic society. Global-forum.org, Global Forum, for interfaith dialogue and cooperation, with an eye towards a more peaceful, just and sustainable Earth community. GodTalkTV.org, God Talk TV, a series of television programs designed to draw people of many different faiths together to discuss pressing social, moral, and spiritual issues and to discern common ground. ifac.org, Interfaith Youth Corps, brings together young people of different religious and moral traditions for cooperative service and dialogue around shared values. Outreach Education and Training, Youth Service Days, Leader Cultivation, Public Advocacy Program and History. Interfaith.org, Interfaith, resource for religious thought and literature, covering major world religions, modern and ancient. Interfaithalliance.org, the Interfaith Alliance, a nonpartisan advocacy organization challenging the radical religious right in the United States, promoting a positive and healing role of religion in public life. Interfaithcenter.org, the Interfaith Center of New York, seeks to integrate the sacred into people's daily lives and to apply the wisdom resources of the world's religious traditions to conflicts worldwide. Interfaithencounter.wordpress.com, Interfaith Encounter Association, promoting peace in the Middle East through interfaith dialogue and cross-cultural study. Projects, events, and history. Sistersofembracement.org, Sisters of Embracement, women's organization dedicated to bringing together in harmony all faiths that have a belief in an all-enlightened being/God. With articles, news, religious background, and links. Tannenbaum.org, Tannenbaum Center for Interreligious Understanding, a secular, non-sectarian organization providing education and tools to resolve religious tensions in schools, at work, and in war zones. Programs, events, training, resources, news, weblog, forums, and donation. Templeofunderstanding.org, Temple of Understanding, aims to achieve peaceful coexistence among individuals, communities, and societies through interfaith education, emphasizing experiential knowledge and dialogue. Also undertakes consulting with the United Nations. URI.org, United Religions Initiative, a global community dedicated promoting daily interfaith cooperation, ending religiously motivated violence and creating cultures of peace, justice, and healing for the earth and all living beings. WorldFaiths.org, World Congress of Faiths, works to develop better understanding, cooperation, and respect between people of different faiths. A list of interfaith organizations and websites at religioustolerance.org/int_rel1.htm. allrivers.org. Center for Global Ethics. astro.temple.edu. Grace. grcmc.org. North American Academy of Ecumenists. nae.net/interfaith. Religions in Renewal. usao.edu. United Interfaith Seminary. mmultimedia.com. inspirationalstories.com. All Religions. all-religions.com. Association of Interfaith Ministers. interfaithclergy.org. Biblaridion is a Christian theological journal. biblaridion-online.net. The City of Light Church. Christian Buddhist Monastic Order, Sedona, Arizona. cityoflightchurch.com. Common Ground. cg.org. Comparative Religion. Interfaith Group in the UK. comparative-religion.com. Conexus Multifaith Media. Calendars, music, gifts. CD-ROMs. World Religions and Spiritual Traditions. conexuspress.com. Council for a Parliament of the World's Religions. cpwr.org. Council of Interfaith Communities of the United States, CIC-USA. Washington, D.C. interfaithcongregations.org. Desert Rose Music. desertrosemusic.co.za. Buddhist. Has an interfaith forum. Discussion group. Interfaith Marriage. DelphiForums.com. Witchcraft, Voodoo, Spirituality, Theology. Druidsfoot.com. Equal Partners in Faith. us.net/epf. Encounter World Religions Center. worldreligions.ca. The European Association for World Religions in Education. eawre.org/start_english.htm. Gathering of Light. gatheringoflight.org. The Global Dialogue Institute. astro.temple.edu/dialogue. The Harmony Project. theharmonyproject.org. The Institute for Interreligious Studies. Germany and the Netherlands. Interrel.de. The Institute for World Spirituality. worldspirit.org. Interfaith Action. ifaction.org. The Interfaith Alliance. tialliance.org. The Interfaith Encounter Association. Peace in the Middle East. Interfaith-encounter.org. Interfaith Forums. interfaithforums.com. Interfaith Fellowship New York City. interfaithfellowship.org. interfaith.org. interfaith.org. Interfaith Journey. interfaithjourney.org. The Interfaith Webring. iwgonline.org. iwgonline.org/links. The Interfaith Youth Corps. ifac.org. The International Association for Religious Freedom. iarf.net. The International Interfaith Centre in Oxford, UK. interfaith-centre.org. The International Committee for the Peace Council. peacecouncil.org. The Internet Sacred Text Archive. sacred-texts.com. Interreligious Engagement Project, IEP 21. IEP21.org. Interreligious Insight, IRI. Interreligionsinsight.org. J. Phillips Center for Interfaith Learning. sdthomas.edu/jpc. jcirrelations.net. Miracle Minds. A Course in Miracles, etc. miracleminds.org. Movement for Beloved Community. spiritualtraditions.net. Multifaith Works. Seattle, Washington. multifaith.org. The University of Derby in the UK. MultifaithNet. multifaithnet.org. The National Council of Churches. Commission on Interfaith Relations. ncccusa.org. Ontario Multifaith Council on Spiritual and Religious Care. omc.ca. ourfaiths.org. forums.prospero.com. Oxati Web Directory. ozati.com/religion.html. pathstogod.co.uk. pathstogod.co.uk. The Pluralism Project. fas.harvard.edu. The Religion Depot. edepot.com. real.utc.utoronto.ca/religion and life. religious-information.com. religious-information.com. Sisters of Embracement. sistersofembracement.org. Sister Julie. virtualnun.blogspot.com. Spiritual and Religious Alliance for Hope, Sarah. sarahforhope.org. The Temple of Love. The templeoflove.com. The Temple of Understanding. templeofunderstanding.org. The True Light Project. thetruelight.net. The Truth and Thought Systems, TDS. tdsworld.com.au. The United Communities of Spirit. Origin.org. The United Religions Initiative. URI.org. The Universal Life Church Monastery. themonastery.org. Women Transcending Boundaries. Syracuse, New York. WTB.org. Women's Interfaith Solutions for Dialogue and Outreach. Detroit. Interfaithwisdom.org. Religions for Peace. WCRP.org. The World Congress of Faiths. worldfaiths.org. The World Faiths Development Dialogue. berkeleycenter.georgetown.edu. The World Peace. johnworldpeace.com.